Historically, electricity has been taught to students as being caused by the movement of free electrons in a conductor. This worked well for DC batteries and electrochemical energy, but when considering alternating current electricity, the concept is inadequate, as physicists know that electrons have mass and require huge energies to accelerate them to the speed of light. However, the submarine cable laid under the Atlantic can transmit AC vibrations at nearly the speed of light with very little loss of energy, and thus can have nothing to do with electron particles. The Magnoflux energy vibrations must therefore be contained in the magnetic field, which moves through the spare holes in the conductor's outer electron shells. The electromagnetic spectrum frequency can drop down to zero, as it relates not only to light and microwaves, radio waves and ultrasonics, but right down to the domestic electric power, as beautifully demonstrated on this spectrum picked up from Wikipedia. It follows that a common magnetic flux energy formula must be applicable to all forms of this electromagnetic spectrum. For convenience, we propose to use the cycle turn watt second per cubic meter model for this. In other words, if we had 1 ampere turn area moving across 1 volt in 1 second, it would produce 1 Magnoflux unit of electromagnetic energy, which is 3-dimensional. This is the apparatus we intend to use to show what Magnoflux is. As you can probably see, this is an induction motor that comes from a drain motor of a washing machine. It combines one primary winding down here, which is connected via the volts and amps through the lead here to the mains. There is no connection, no wires between this secondary loop here, which is on the core of the motor, and it's got a solid rotor here. There's a compass that just shows there's nothing happening at the moment, and there's no magnetism or anything in here. When we switch on, immediately we get this jump and the magnet starts to move. We've got secondary amps of about 60, primary amps of 0.85 and 250 volts. If we now jam the motor, then up goes the secondary amps about 90, over 1 amp for the primary. This is still humming like mad, and of course the magnet is going backwards and forwards, the compass moving backwards and forwards. This demonstrates that the core of this transformer is transferring all of the Magnoflux energy into the secondary, and this therefore becomes a transformer. So the core of a motor, when jammed, becomes a transformer. At present, we are being taught that for an induction motor we need a magnetic field to be at right angles to the inducing amps, and then miraculously some momentum of the rotor will appear in the 3rd dimension. This is a correct model, but with terribly vague axes, as you've got volts and amps here and something magically magnetic at the top. Mathematicians in fact simplified the original equation by going for power being V times I times cos phi, when in fact over here we get it correctly, where we've got the volts in one direction and the current area or ampere turns in the other two. The Magnoflux volume of energy then moves forward like this, going towards the right hand side of the field, and that is the Magnoflux. If we had just 1 cycle per second, then we will get 1 watt per cubic meter of energy. And if we increase the frequency, as we do in microwaves and what have you, of course the energy goes up proportionally. 3D Magnoflux energy. This presentation demonstrates an alternative view of electricity as a three-dimensional electromagnetic field of unit Magnoflux energy, which incidentally is also the essence of microwave and light energy. This is all derived from the quadratic voltage ampere-turn loop fields.